You are Locked On Cougs, your daily podcast on the Houston Cougars, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Park Ranger Locked On Cougs here. Get into the third segment thought experiment. Reminder, if you have a question, a hot take, or something you think prompts a third segment thought experiment, you can email it to locougspod@gmail.com. If the video is peachy and worth talking about, we may even play it. Who knows? Third segment thought experiment here. I'm looking at this comparison that has irked me all week. If you have not been listening all week, you're new to the program or whatever, BYU and Houston are the only two Big 12 schools currently with a 5-star quarterback committed in the class of 2026 to their institutions. BYU made headlines in a big way. I mean, had Pat McAfee show, had all the different morning talk shows on ESPN. When Ryder Lyons committed to BYU this week, he's a 5-star quarterback. Keisean Henderson earlier this month shut down his recruitment. He's been committed to Houston for over a year at this point. He canceled all visits and shut down his other recruitments. He's coming to the University of Houston. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. There was a notably different level of coverage. Like I had people that are not BYU people, and frankly, they may not be Houston people, but they just know me as the Houston guy, texting me like, what is going on? Why is this such a big deal? Why wasn't the Houston one such a big deal? And look, I have said this from the get-go, and I say it again. I am not saying this to say to take away coverage from BYU. Ryder Lyons signed that day or committed that day. That's a big deal. Hoorah, like roll with it, right? But when I say it feels like these big TV networks hate Houston and they put games on Thursdays and Fridays, they put games on ESPN Plus, they put the number one team in America's basketball program not on the main channels and networks. This is the kind of comparison I draw on, right? Keisean Henderson is a big freaking deal. And had he flipped his commitment to Florida State, you bet your pants that would have been a big ESPN story. Instead, he said, I'm not even going to go visit Florida State. I'm going to stay with Houston. It's a pin drop. And again, BYU is a big deal. I get it. But Keisean Henderson coming to Houston is also a big deal. The city of Houston is also a big deal. So that's been driving my constant comparative. Why don't they love us? The Will Smith part of Freshman's Blair was like, why don't he want us, man? That he's talking about it's like, missing father and all that. Like, why do you want me or what to Uncle Phil? I don't mean to say it's quite that dramatic. It does feel like these big TV networks just don't want Houston around in the same kind of anyway. This comparison continues to irk me for that reason. But the more I've thought about this week, third segment thought experiment, the closer they've become. Listen, there's a real chance Keisean Henderson redshirts his freshman year. Maybe he splits time with Connor Wegman. The Connor Wegman thing, how real deal he is, how healthy he is, how good the arm is, will determine that, obviously. That means that we wouldn't see Keisean in full starter mode until 2027. Austin Carlisle is in the mix as well, so we'll see, right? And that's great. But Ryder Lyons is taking a one-year mission as a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. He's taking a one-year mission. He will not be on the field for them until the earliest being 2027 as well. That's interesting that we're excited about these 2026 quarterbacks when there's a very serious reality that neither one of them puts shoulder pads on a Saturday until 2027. I think it's both. It's interesting that both quarterbacks are being used as the glue to pull in these other recruits. BYU and Sataki are out there looking for a bunch of big guys to come block for Ryder Lyons, class of 2026 and 2027. We've seen Houston do the same. We also seen Houston bring in receiver recruits, and I feel really good about a few of them this month and next month that should be committing soon. Come play with our guy is important to both schools. Both schools had this solidified and locked up in June. You had Keisean Henderson end his recruitment, which meant that he's officially a Houston Cougar, right? And Ryder Lyons publicized what was probably the best kept secret in recruiting. If you'd asked someone in May where he was going, I think 99% of people would have assumed it was BYU or a blue blood program. But he shut all that down by publicly stating on Pat McAfee's show, right, that he's going to be a BYU Cougar. There's also a weird similarity here in their connections to the program they're going. Keisean Henderson, if you don't know, coached by Michael Bishop, who everything at Kansas State, but played junior college before that, and played junior college because at the time African Americans were told that they couldn't play quarterback for whatever reason. And Willie Fritz, junior college coach at the time, said, "Hey, I think come play for me at Blinn." And next thing you know, Michael Bishop is breaking all kinds of college records at Kansas State after a couple of years at Blinn. Keisean Henderson feels that connection as a legacy of Fritz's, right? Because Bishop can speak it glowingly about his relationship and saw something in me, gave me a chance. Keisean has that connection. But on the BYU side of this thing, Ryder Lyons' father played at BYU, right? He is a true legacy in that program, and that pays dividends as well. So both guys feel connection to the program from a significant male figure in their life. I think that's important in this. I think it was important in both of their decisions. Both felt a weird sense of loyalty as well. Houston was the first Power 4 school to officially offer Henderson as a quarterback back as an early sophomore. For what it's worth, Slade Nagel and Tulane had also offered him as a quarterback. And Keisean Henderson's been very adamant that Houston seeing that in him early, that the Houston staff seeing that in him early was important. It meant that they were going to give him that opportunity when others hadn't. Right now, by this point in his recruitment, everyone knows Keisean Henderson's a quarterback, but Houston saw it first, relatively speaking. In a similar vein, BYU, to a legacy kid that had the size, offered Ryder Lyons as an 8th grader. Right, said, "Hey, you can come play quarterback." Ryder Lyons was like a 2-star recruit for most of his high school career. This was not like a slam dunk home run, whatever. They offered him as a kid in 8th grade. It ended up being a 2-star as a sophomore, right? And I think there's something to say about loyalty there as well. Both of these guys have had to prove it too. They weren't 5-star freshman quarterbacks. Keisean Henderson was told for much of his high school career to play a different position. He earned being a 5-star quarterback, not athlete, right? Ryder Lyons was a 2-star quarterback for a lot of his high school career, right? He earned those other 3 stars. I think that that's an interesting comparison too, where they were both told early in their high school and for a chunk of their high school career, you are not a 4-star or 5-star quarterback. And they proved that wrong. Keisean Henderson, this is for Houston. We're going to play with Houston on our chest, Houston on our helmets. This is for the city of Houston. That's important to him. It's important to a lot of the recruiting they're doing. They're looking to get guys that don't have to take planes to get to campus. That's important, right? Similarly, for BYU, and for many people at BYU, not just Ryder Lyons, this is about playing for a school that represents their faith, right? Ryder Lyons is not just a religiously conservative person. He is a member of the church itself. And I think that that's an interesting thing as well, where you're playing for something that's on the chest of the jersey you'll be wearing, right? Not the back, but the chest. I think it's important. And look, at the end of the day, BYU gets the headlines. The church is led to having an international fan base. Totally get it. And I don't want to take shine away from them on the day it happened, right? I don't mean to say they shouldn't have had a McAfee interview or been the talk of the town on the morning talk shows or whatever. But Houston has shown, when given the limelight, through college game days, signing 5-star guys, getting to go to the Peach Bowl in 2015. They beat Penn State as of 2011. Like they've shown time and time again they can produce these kinds of stories when someone is looking to tell them. And this is a moment that no one was looking to tell the Houston story. And it mirrors the BYU story so closely. And everyone was jumping and quick to talk about this other one. and not the Houston one. Houston's a big city in American culture. The music scene, I opened with talking about June 27th, right? We also have uh, more recently, like Drake. Drake is from Toronto. That dude wants to be from Houston so bad, right? He is open for Morgan Wallen at a concert. Like, dude wants to be a Houstonian, right? And he's not. Lil Wayne is from New Orleans, puts on for Houston as well. The South enjoys Houston in that kind of way. It's also a city climbing the charts in sports. Durant just signed with the Rockets. The Texans rebuilt super fast. They need some health and some pass protection, but they're there. The Astros have dominated a decade of baseball. They seem to not be going away. They just swept the Phils when everyone thought they were down and out. I mean, the truth is, Houston sports are always in the lexicon, right? It's always in the conversation. And I just feel like this is, when compared to the exact same story happening for a different set of Cougars, a gigantic missed opportunity to tell some really cool stories from a national media. And I think that's what's upset me the most, is because these are Houston stories. These deserve to be told. And so anyway, as more unfolds with it, more recruitings have happened. I think we'll actually have a good couple weeks here as we get into July and get some commitments down. We'll be breaking it all down here at Locked On Cougs. Subscribe, hit the bell so you know we're live. Locked On Cougs, primarily Locked On podcast. Now we need your team every day. Go Cougs, the red ones.